In this episode of Carnage, we're going to fix a turbo taxi and make it faster. Wait, isn't that what we've been doing all along?
No, we're going to make it really fast.
Oh, so we're going to make it run 10s?
No.
Oh. Last episode on Turbo Taxi, we drove this thing all the way to Queensland for Drag Challenge weekend. And I ran 11.54 at 122 mile an hour, which wasn't too bad, except for the fact that the ignition kept breaking down all the time. Every pass, ignition would break down. And we weren't getting the runs that we knew this thing was capable of. So our mission this time is to fix that ignition miss. Let's take it to the dyno and see what we're dealing with. Obviously we had some ignition dramas up at Drag Challenge Queensland with this thing. And so we only got one clean pass out of it, 11.5 at 122 mile an hour, so it's moving when it wants to. So now we've got our drifter coils in there, we've got a tighter plug gap, so brand new plugs, 12 thou plug gap, sorry, 12 thou. That's very, very tight. All right, so very small plug gap. We'll see how she runs now. Hopefully we'll get up around the 500 horsepower rear wheel mark is what I'd like to see. I'd like to see 500 horsepower at the tyres. Still breaking down so badly. Not getting there. Clearly the taxi is down on power, and the problem is that LPG is really hard to ignite, and even more so with boost. We tried some of the Auto Trad drift coils and they helped, but we need something extra, so we're going to go see Herod Motorsport about one of their voltage boosters. Hey guys, so we're down at Tunnel Vision and we've got our Herod voltage booster. So now usually they don't sell these. I think they do sell them to the public, but on rare instances, usually they install them themselves. But they do have a fairly comprehensive instruction list there. So JMS are the guys that actually make them for Herods, and that's the unit there. So it comes with its own mounting plate designed to bolt behind the kick panel, and that's a problem for us because that's where the Howtech is bolted. So we'll have to find a new home for that. So it's adjustable, 18 to 22 volts thereabouts. So obviously, if you don't need the full voltage, you'll adjust it down. If you want all the volts, then you'll turn it all the way up. So yeah, like I said, little boost switch there, so that's a Hobb switch. So sees a boost signal there, and then you can adjust at what boost level that comes in with a little Allen key in the back there. So very simple device, been around for a long time, and they work really well. So the boys are going to get this into the taxi and we'll see if it works. I'm sure it will, hoping it will, and we'll get this thing boosting. So busy today, guys. So busy today, guys. Just picked up the taxi from Jason. Now I'm going to take it down to MPW. Yeah, try and put it on the dyno. dropped power a little bit, as you can see, but we suspect it's a tyre issue, not a power issue. So it's, they're, oh Jesus, they're hot and sticky, so they're getting a bit slippery. But yeah, I think we're starting to lose traction there. That's all right though. 351 rear wheel kilowatt. Pretty happy with that. What about you, Jason? You happy with that? He doesn't want to look at the camera. I think he's happy. All right, let's race this thing. So we're at Heathcote Park today with the turbo taxi, and its ignition issues are all fixed. Unfortunately though, I'm racing the Toxic Avenger territory today, so we're going to get Bubba to drive the turbo taxi. This is going to be interesting. Don't run a 10.
What's the worst that could happen?
And I see you brought your own rubber, mate.
Yeah, the rubber you had, I think was what, 4 years old?
He doesn't like my tyres. So we usually run on a 255 50 series 16. Bubba's brought some 275 40 series 17s. Bit more rubber, which should be able to handle all the power. It's got plenty of power now.
I am a little bit nervous that someone will call me over to take him somewhere, but yeah.
All right, mate.
It's going to be fun.
Good luck. Don't run a 10. I'm serious. Don't run a 10.
Big mistake. I wonder how many stores this taxi has. If you know what I mean. I might take, not easy, but I think I might just go low RPM off the start line with this one. So if we can guarantee a pass. Listen to me. Who the f do I think I am? I have no idea what I'm doing. But fuck, I'm gonna have fun doing it. Okay, that was pretty shit. $11.90 at 180 miles per hour, but we bet Pazzo. If you just want to zoom in on him, he is shattered.
Doesn't look shattered.
Oh, deep down he is. We're going to try more boost this time, so we'll try and stall it up and give that a crack. If that doesn't work, I'll take the back seat out, or I'll get naked. Big burnout for no good reason, but I don't know, wreck the tyres, maybe feel like Victor Bray for 5-10 minutes. All right, let this guy go because I want to give it a good boost. Yeah, not bad. Still gauge, it does feel a little bit faster. so far it's done 1160. We've got a little bit more on the foot brake we can go, but a back-to-back run, like it's piping hot. So I'm gonna cool it down, put some ice on the cooler, and do another pass. I'd like to see that 1150. If we can run 1150 on this track, that's pretty good. So if we can cool it down, maybe a bit more on the start line, we might see 1150. We won't see a 10. I feel confident it needs more power mid-range to get a 10. The start, it takes off and then it just plateaus. Some idiot thought it'd be a good idea to put some ice and water on the cooler. Ah, that was me! So yeah, it did a burnout and all the water that was tucked under kind of went out, so we'll go again in a second.
So we let Bubba drive this thing today, and he's run a couple 11s, which is awesome because, you know, now that it proves the ignition is fixed. But dude, you did your quickest 60-footer ever for this car.
I'm a little bit excited.
Yeah?
That was cool. I didn't think I did, but that's good. I'm shattered that I only ran 11.6, because you ran 11.5, and that kind of upsets me. So.
That's all right.
But that's cool. I'll wear that.
What do you think of the car?
Actually, it was actually a really delight to drive. It was nice. It wasn't
A
out
delight?
of control. Yeah, delight's a strong. Don't ask me
Wow.
to spell that. I was shocked how quick it come up on the RPM. In the burnout, it flashed, and I'm like, oh, shit,
she zings.
I just blew the motor up. But no, it held together, and it is a quick car.
Thanks again.
No worries, thank you.
Awesome. All right, let's wind up the boost. Okay, so the plan for today is to put in a spring in the wastegate actuator. So it came with 3, at the moment it has 1. We want to put 1 back in just to up the boost a little bit. So whether I choose this one or this one, I have to look it up, see which one is which. But I think one's 5 pounds, one's 7. I get a feeling that's the 5 pound one. So I'll probably put that in, get the boost up. There we go. There's our bad boy. So this came with 3 springs. We pulled out 2 of those springs when we first set the car up because we didn't want to overboost it. Well, now we want more boost again. So we didn't want to overboost it because we didn't actually have enough fuel supply at the time to supply the horsepower that this could have produced. So with 1 spring in it, that was fine. But now we need more boost. So add a spring and should put us into the 20 pound area, I reckon. So 20 pounds should be plenty. So I'm adding a 5 pound spring at the moment. So even if that doesn't prove to be enough, we can always do this again later because I've got another 7 pound spring there. So we can put 3 springs back in it if we want, but I don't think it needs it. I think 5, at least 2 springs should be enough to get us where we need to be. But yeah, it's all trial and error. We can always run it again, but we definitely don't want to blow it up by throwing too much boost into it. a bit loose. We'll adjust it in the car. Alright, there we go. Come to me, baby. It's so close. Hand cramp. Alright, so we've added a 5-pound spring to our actuator. It should up the boost a little bit. We don't know exactly how much because it's not always relative. You know, you add more spring pressure, it may add 5 pounds, might add 7, it may add 3. We don't know until we try it. So tonight I'm going to do some road testing with our mate Jason at Tunnel Vision. Just a bit of road tuning, nothing too crazy, but yeah, make sure it's right before we drive this thing to Sydney to race at Sydney Dragway on Wednesday night. That's going to be fun. So we'll see, does it run a low 11 or does it go 10s? Hey guys, we're at Marulan on our way up to Sydney to race Turbo Taxi, and then tonight it's all on. Actually, I've got to stop by Steve McAuliffe's workshop, and we're going to actually put some fresh trans fluid and a filter in this thing before we go racing, because I have serious doubts about the longevity of this trans. We need to put some fresh fluid in it. It hasn't had any fresh fluid since before Drag Challenge weekend, so yeah, we should probably do that. Just give it its maximum chance of surviving the night. When we road tuned and tested the taxi with Jason from Tunnel Vision, we started to get worried about the transmission because it was slipping badly on the shifts. So when we arrived in Sydney, I headed out to Shift Right Automatics so that Steve could take a look. We're going to throw some fresh fluid and a new filter in this thing, maybe make some adjustments, hopefully get this thing running right for tonight. So we want those 10s. That'd be nice and toasty. Yeah.
Definite.
Car basically hasn't been switched off for the best part of, well, since 8 o'clock this morning. What is it now? 2 o'clock. So yeah, it doesn't look too bad.
It's quite nice.
Yeah.
Not too bad.
Kind of expecting it to be full purple. But the magnets, like, they've got a little bit on them, but not as much as they had last time.
Nothing to worry about for a BTR.
Yeah, this is pretty standard.
Yeah.
Needs a bit of adjustment.
Yeah, we'll put a bit in it.
Yeah, cool.
So you got your band adjustment shims here.
Yep.
Okay, so we did had that thin one in there by itself. So I've taken the clearance out of it.
Yeah, because there was a lot of clearance there.
Yeah,
before,
and I've added that thick one in there.
Okay.
Yeah. So still, we'll give the band a bit of clearance. We won't make it too tight. We don't want it to drag. We don't want to make it slow down.
Yeah.
That's on in second and fourth gear.
Yeah.
So on the second gear that comes on, okay,
Yeah.
and then that has to release at the same time as the C1 clutch has to come on. So if they aren't timed properly, you'll get a flare.
I get the feeling you've done a few of these before.
Quite a few. Back in the day, probably actual taxis and that too.
Yeah. So do we need to explain anything about the Type F?
Type F hasn't got as much like friction modifiers in it and all that type of stuff. So to help the box make it try and grip a little bit better, we run the Type F, so it's not as slippery.
Okay, so rather than the Dextron 3.
Dex 3 or the like the Syntrans or the synthetic style of oil, because we've got already half of it already in there. I'll just top it up with the Type F.
We're at Sydney Dragway with the Turbo Taxi. It's a Wednesday night street meet. We've just driven up over 800 Ks to be here because there's nothing happening down south at the moment. It's too cold to race. So we're here to run a new PB with the taxi. We've got the ignition fixed. We've got more boost in this thing. It should run a number. We were a little bit worried though on the drive up that the auto didn't feel quite right. So we headed out to the guys at Shift Right where they put a new filter in it, new fluid, tighten up the bands. The thing is sharp as now. So I'm looking forward to a PB out of this thing because the taxi is on fire. Well, not literally. First run for the taxi in Sydney. See how we go. Here we go. Burnout time. Like that. Turn it off. Kind of went overboard with the burnout, so didn't really like it. Holy Jesus Christ! Holy shitball! Wow, that was awesome. I'll tell you what, we just did the first pass with the Turbo Taxi for the night. This thing is gonna run a number. Just did a 202 60-footer, which is slow as hell. We did a 176 at Heathcote the other day. It's got a lot more in it. But what you don't know is the boost cut hit. As soon as I launched, it launched, boost cut come in, it dropped below that boost level, and it took off at 1166, 129 mile an hour. That's 207 Ks an hour out of this heavy tank. I can't believe that, 129. We went 122 before. When we get a launch out of this thing, if the boost cut leaves us alone, man, this thing is gonna go. So just crank the boost down a fraction, hopefully get away with that. It may mile an hour slightly less, but if we can get that 60 footers in the 1.7s, this is going low 11s. That's number 2 for the night, and it's not great. It ran a 12.05, 118 mile an hour. There was a time I would have been stoked with that time. It got a better 60 foot with a 1.91, but it still hit some sort of boost cut. I'm pretty sure it's the boost cut. I'm just gonna try and feed it a little bit softer this run off the line. See how that goes, but I've cranked the boost back up to where it was. We'll get there. That could be the problem. Here we go, this could be all the marbles. So it's official, I'm an idiot because I just discovered that I had the traction control on for the first 2 runs. Wasn't boost cut at all, traction control. So I luckily discovered that just before I made that pass, and what do you know? New PB, 11.39, 128 mile an hour, and not even that great a 60 foot. Like we can pull another 2 tenths off that 60 foot, and for every tenth you pull off a 60 foot, it's like 2 tenths down the quarter. Well, if we pull off 2 tenths, there's a 10. So this time, we're gonna really send it. Oh yeah, baby. Well, it was definitely worth driving over 800 Ks up here, I tell you. That's another PB for the taxi, 11.30, 126 mile an hour. Best 60 foot of the night, which is 179. Not the best 60 foot for the car. So we've got more in this thing. She's running strong. Wow, what a day it's been today. It's been massive. Started off in Albury this morning. We're up here in Sydney now. The total trip, Melbourne to Sydney, is 800 plus Ks. It has just been exhausting, but well worth it. 6 time slips there. Started off with an 11.6 at 129 mile an hour, which is a great start. Didn't expect that sort of mile an hour. But once I worked out that I needed to turn the traction control off, the times tumbled. 11.30, 126 mile an hour. That is awesome, so happy. But we're running up into the 131 mile an hour area too, so this has more in it. Those 10s, they're so close, I can taste it. But not this time. We're at Calder Park today in Melbourne with the Turbo Taxi and ready to race. A week and a half ago, we drove this thing up to Sydney, ran 11.30, 131 mile an hour, so it is starting to really honk. But I was starting to get worried that we might break it, so I just took it easy on the last few runs up there. Now we're back closer to home. I'm really looking forward to leaning on this thing and see if we can get a 10-second pass out of it. On the first run, it felt like the taxi hit a boost cut, so I backed out of it and gave it another hit, and it cut again. What the But I didn't have a laptop with me to check the data log, so we wound back the booster tad and sent it. Wow. That's carnage.
Scotty, you broke the taxi, but you ran a PB. How do you feel?
Mate, I am both happy and sad. I mean, 11.01, it could have been 10.99. 10.99 would have been perfect, but 11.01 is pretty good. And it was on a mission, and best 60 foot, best half track ever, like is run a number, but this thing's got 370,000 Ks on it. Well, it had 370,000 Ks. It's been Adelaide, it's been to Queensland, it's done dozens of passes, so it is done well, old girl.
Indeed.
So 11.01 is not a 10 though.
Nope. What's the plan?
The plan is another motor in it, and we're going 10s.
For real this time.